got it.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Detroit Association of Black Storytellers, Fourth Friday Story Hour, our Christmas edition being Fireside Story. Tonight's host tonight is Dr. Maxine Kane. Let me give it over to her. She has some amazing storytellers that are going to do some things tonight. So without further ado, Maxine Kane.
Thank you, Tone. Welcome to Fireside Stories with DABS. I mean, those drums made me think of my time in Ghana, and it made me want to move. We hope your Christmas has been all that you want it to be. We hope you have been safe and happy, enjoying time with your family and friends. You are in for a treat today. So stay tuned, sit back and relax as we hear some fantastic stories by some fantastic people. Fireside Stories with DABS. And I am honored to present our first storyteller to you, Shaquita McKenzie. In the midst of the seasons known as Christmas and holiday joy, a few folk enter the stage. The names are odd, and one isn't even correct. C. McKenzie brings us stories of Carisha and Marisha, a frog, and a penny that talks. Let's listen as she shares the first fireside story. Shaquita, take it away.
Over there. That was what everyone was saying. Over there.
We're having some difficulty here trying to listen to Shaquita's awesome story. And this is what technology and the day of Zooming is all about. And that is trying to do some things virtually. Here she is.
I know what I'm saying. There was a day when two friends were walking down the street. And they were talking and chatting. And then all of a sudden, one of the friends stooped down and she picked up something. And her girlfriend said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I saw this and I picked it up." And her girlfriend said, "Throw that away. Why would you pick up something off the ground? That's dirty." And her friend said, "You know what? I'm going to keep it." And she stopped and she looked down and she thought for a moment. And she looked at her friend and she said, "No, I'm going to keep it." And her friend said, "You know what? You probably need to get something to eat. Let's go in this restaurant." But then her girlfriend said, "I don't need to get anything to eat. I know what I'm saying. This was there for a reason, and I have picked it up." And her girlfriend said, You do know that that's dirty. And her friend said, it isn't dirty. It depends on how you look at it. It's a penny, and I have it now for you. And her girlfriend said, but you have pennies. What is with you in this penny? And she said, well, every coin needs a home. And in my home, this penny is welcome. And her friend said, we need to get something to eat. And you need to sit down. But then she said, I don't need to sit down. I don't need to get anything to eat. Do you see what it says? Her friend said, it's a penny. It doesn't talk. But her friend just kept walking, and they just kept moving. And then she finally said, you know what? You need a penny. And her friend said, I don't need a penny, and I'm not picking up a penny off the ground. And her friend said, then I will find a penny for you. I will give it to you. And her friend said, if you stoop down one more time to pick up a penny, whether it looks shiny or not, I'm going to take you to the doctor. And her friend looked at her and she said, you don't understand. The penny talks to me. The penny has a message for me. The penny has a message for you. And with that, she took the penny and she gave it as I give to you. And her friend said, what is it with you and this penny? And she said, well, you know, there are pennies and then there are other coins. And the other coins have followed the penny. They give the same message. And her friend said, let me humor her a little bit. And so she said, okay, fine. Tell me, what does the penny say? The penny that talks to you. And she said, well, the penny was there and it needed a home. The penny shone bright enough for me to see. The penny didn't give me a problem when I tried to pick it up. You know, sometimes things stuck to the ground, but it wasn't. It came to me, it stayed in my hand, and I don't really see it as dirty. And I want you to have one, and I want to give this to you. Even if you think the penny is dirty, even if you don't believe like my friend, I tell you, one of the reasons this penny is important, and one of the reasons you should have one too, is that this penny says, I'm not just a penny, but in actuality, in God we trust. There was a day when two friends were walking down the street, and they were talking and chatting, and then all of a sudden, one of the friends, oh, I know that this was about Clarissa Melissa. You see, it was Christmas Day, and Clarissa Melissa woke up and swoosh, she went to the front of the house. And she asked her parents, can I go outside? And they said, sure. Now her grandmother was a bit hesitant, but she agreed. So she swooshed back to her bedroom, got dressed, and plop, she put on her splash shoes. She went back to the front of the house, and out the door she went. And her parents thought, but they let it go. She was having a ball. In the yard, out the yard, turning around, stooping down, looking at things, and after a while, her parents thought, well, it's time for her to come in the house. Her mother said, I don't see her. Her grandmother said, let me help you. But then her father said, don't worry about it. I'll just go to the door and call to her. But she didn't respond. And then after a while, poof, there appeared Clarissa Melissa and her splash boots that were no longer there. Her grandmother looked at her and said, oh. But then her father said, it's okay. And Clarissa said, Grandma, my dad yesterday said that I could invite friends for Christmas dinner, and so I have. But I didn't see anyone. So her grandmother thought, well, they need to come on if they're going to come. It's time for dinner. And then they smelled all of these different smells. And her grandmother thought, now I know that I want my food from them, And her mother thought, I don't think it is either. And then they heard all this noise. Marissa was just happy as could be because she looked at her dad and she said, my friends are here. And first there was Walter. She plopped him out of her pocket. Walter was the frog that she had been carrying around. She actually had him since yesterday, but had forgotten she put him in her pocket. No matter, Walter was happy. And because Marissa was out there splashing about in her boots, he had fun with her as well. He was kind of sloppy, but it was okay because both he and Marissa were happy and ready for dinner. And then her grandmother heard this other noise. And then her father heard some other noise. And then her grandmother said, oh no, this can't be. And there stood a rabbit, a pony, a dog, a fox, a squirrel, and some other unknown creature that they couldn't quite figure out what it was. Well, Clarissa plopped in the house, boots, mud, and all, and opened the picture window. And there stood three horses. And her grandmother said, now Clarissa. And her father said, Marissa. And her mother went to call her name, but she said, well, you said that I could have friends over, and these are my friends. And her mother said, we didn't mean a bunch of animals. But then Marissa said, well, 2 days ago, when we went to service, you said I should listen. And I noticed that although I don't have any sheep, and although I don't have any straw, and although we don't have a barn, these are still my friends. And they've come over. They're a gift to me. I play with them a lot. This is Walter, you see? And there the frog did his usual ribbit, and her grandmother was stunned. And then her grandmother said, you know what, little girl, little Miss Marissa, I have always wondered to myself, do you ever pay attention when we're in church, when we're in service, when you're in Sunday school? Apparently, she had. And with that, Marissa began the first full family inviting anybody, no matter they be human or animal, to Christmas dinner. So, whatever you're doing this week, whatever you're doing for Christmas, don't worry yourself if someone named Walter comes to attend, because hey, maybe Marissa is on her way as well. Thank you. Oh,
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Give her a hand, everybody. I know that we had some difficulty hearing, but I did understand the story about the penny somewhat. And speaking frankly, I am a penny picker upper. I don't care how many pennies I see. I remember that pennies make dollars, and I collect those pennies, and it's a part of my collection that I save when I go to Africa, Ghana, and I give these pennies and things to my school calling chinny chinny. So when you see a penny, don't be afraid of it. Pick it up. Those pennies make dollars. Again, let's applaud our speaker. Next on the agenda, just listen. Toys in the Hood. Written and told by Mildred Matlock. Was inspired by a slow drive through the neighborhood where she grew up decades ago. A few children who were growing up there may have things a little bit different now, but yet the anticipation about a certain visitor on Christmas remains unchanged, passed on from one generation to the next. This story is in rhyme. and it might be very, very interesting to you. So listen to this parody of a familiar ancient Christmas tale, and let's find out all about her visit, Toys in the Hood. Let's applaud Dr. Mildred Matlock. Dr. Mildred Matlock, it's all on you. Give her a hand, please. We hope that we are able to hear her clearly. And here she is.
'Twas the night before Christmas, way down deep in the hood. We were placing our bets that St. Nick would make good on his promise to bring toys to good kids everywhere, even deep in the hood, if he double dog dare. Pop said, "Nick's my boy. He'll bring toys here, I know." Unc shook his head. "Nah, man, Nick ain't gonna show. He always comes through for the suburbs and city. Palmer Woods, Rosedale Park, where things are real pretty. Bloomfield Hills, Troy, and Canton, all lit up and bright. But will Nick come to the hood and bring toys late at night?" The hood's not on the list of stylish zip codes. We're the last to be plowed when the city clears roads. We're one of the few houses still around, not abandoned or gutted or burned to the ground. It's a simple wood frame, full of Christmas delight. But we prayed that St. Nick won't be scared by the blight. We're not even near the one dim pole light on this dark, dreary street. Please, please don't let us be dissed by Nick and his fleet. The grandkids and stepkids and undocumented others spent Christmas Eve at our house with their sisters and brothers. They looked up at us with fear on each face. How's Nick gonna find us in this different place? Don't worry, y'all, I said. If you could be here or you could be there. But if you've been good all year long, Nick can find you anywhere. Oh, those kids knew all about Nick. And they tried to be good, but they worried and worried that he wouldn't come to the hood. Wouldn't Nick be afraid to bring toys on his own? Just an unarmed old white guy in the hood all alone? Yeah, even the kids know what can happen to a guy on the block. An old guy hauling gifts without packing a Glock. We promised, kids, Nick can take care of himself because he travels with 9 horned reindeer and a security elf. Whew, we finally got all those kids off to sleep. By warning them, Nick can hear every peep. Close your eyes, shut your mouth, Jamal, Scoot, Ali, and the rest of you too. If you don't go to sleep, Nick ain't coming through. After a while, we got to chillin', sippin', wrapping gifts, and we started to doze. Our jaws drifted open, our eyes started to close. Then, out in the street, we heard a loud bang. We threw ourselves to the floor to escape the gang thing. I shook it off, and I peeped through the curtains. And what did appear but a triple X-size old black dude in a sleigh with 9 super-sized reindeer. His red suit was straining. Fuzzy white whiskers shot out everywhere. His black belt stretched round his belly so tight there was no room to spare. For real? I ain't pranking. Could this be a trick? That old dude with reindeer looked just like old Nick. He pulled out a list, looked up and looked down. Then he studied our house, stroked his beard without making a sound. Was this a perp? Come to check out our crib for what he could steal? Or one of the thugs trying to jack our new wheels? In a quick flash, he caught me glancing, so he grabbed a huge bag from his sleigh and he started advancing. He knocked hard on the door, boom, 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 and looked straight in at me. Should I let him in or ask for ID? I mean, it could be old Nick. He looked cool and nice. But in this neighborhood, you better think twice. I scoped him up and down, head to toe. You can't be too careful when you live in the ghetto. He winked at me and laughed at the doubt on my face. Yo, Holmes, take this toy bag. You ain't got no fireplace. If I had climbed through the window or snuck in the back door, you and your boys would have laid me out dead on the floor. The North Pole sent me down here to do whatever it takes to bring toys to the hood with no mess or mistake. He turned to leave, but before strolling away, he turned back at me and I heard him say, when old Nick arrives, whatever color his skin, when kids believe in their hearts, that's how he comes in. As the lively procession rose into the air, I heard old Nick loudly declare, let's bounce, Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen. Roll on out, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. Yo, Rudolph, quit nodding. Your red nose should be glowing to light the streets of the hood so we can see where we're going. He looked down and laughed, his face full of delight. He shouted out, next year, for Christmas, ask for another street light. Oh, ho, 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 I'm just joking. Whether it's dark or it's light, I'll come to the hood with toys for the kids. All right. Our mouths were still open. We were stone cold amazed. We were still trying to shake ourselves out of our daze. We looked at each other, scratched our head, rubbed our eyes. Could that have been the real Nick, or was it a dude in disguise? Pops had the answer. Of course it was Nick. You looked right in his face. Plus, he left all those toys piled up all over my place. Nick came to the hood and he laid it all out. It was him. It was Nick. There can be no more doubt. Nick laughed and he waved as they flew out of sight. He shouted back, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. And that's all I have to say until the next time.
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Dr. Mildred Matlock, I think of the word kuumba. which means creativity. And that was very, very creative. That was lively. It was engaging. There was humor to it. So those who are listening, feel free to put comments in the chat room for both of our previous speakers. Wonderful, wonderful. That was a lot. That was a lot to remember. Congratulations to you as well. I see on the screen a lot of people from all over. I have friends from California on the line, Tataka and his wife. I have my girlfriend, Catherine Williams, Marion Bryant's on the line. So thank you to all of you who are on the line listening to these stories here. We hope you are enjoying them because I know I'm enjoying listening to them as well. But there's more. Stay tuned for our next presenter, none other than Pumela Williams, who's our next speaker. And Pumela is the immediate former vice president of our organization who served as president in the capacity for 8 years and 2 years prior to that as chair of the new membership committee. Pumela began telling stories in 2003 as a motivational speaker, presenting speeches and workshops that console and counsel. She's also known in the community for telling humorous and engaging stories. Please, let's give a warm welcome to Pumela.
The weather outside is frightful. The snow is so delightful. I have nowhere to go. So let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Thank you, Madam Host, fellow dabbers, and most welcome guests. I have a couple of brief oldie but goodies of personal stories I want to share with you tonight. But for the sake of time, I'm going to start off with my favorite and see where we land out from there. So, what I need you all to do, if you would please, I need you to just think back, go all the way back and to your heyday, and more specifically to the year of 1975. Where were you at mentally in 1975? Well, for me, loving a Mac. Yeah, loving a Mac. Having an addiction to loving a Mac seemed to be where I was at back in the 70s. Loving a Mac, that's where it's at. Loving a Mac, that's where it's at. I couldn't struggle against the draw to Macs. Now, back in the day, folks would say, "What's happening?" I'd say the Mac. Show you right. It was just something about that brown pecan tan. We met every day at 4 p.m. on the mile green line.
Should we be seeing your face? Because we can't see you.
No, she couldn't get it to come up.
Okay, then continue. I apologize.
It was just something about that brown pecan tan. Like I said, we met every day at 4 p.m. on the mile and green line. Always smelling good, looking good and fresh. Oh, I had to get to know this harmonious trio. Mac of all Macs. How would they say it back then? Oh, you're all up in my mix and you don't know what flavor it is. But well, I had to get up in that mix. And once I got the flavor, it was on. It was an addiction that I could not avoid. The warm sensation I felt as the Mac went down, feeding me with lustful satisfaction, time and time, day after day. Well, this went on for months before I owned up to the addiction. It was as if I had gotten the flavor and the fever for the flavor of the Pringles. Well, now I had to just think about what I had to begin to understand. What am I doing to myself? How could I allow this urge to continue? How can I continue with this reckless abuse to my body? Ah, it had gotten to the point where the needle indicated 180 pounds at age 14. Yes, that two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun had to go. I knew the Big Mac from front to back and from back to front. Bun, seed, sesame, on onions, pickles, cheese, lettuce, sauce, special patties, beef, all too well. It was a must that I get that ball and chain from around my neck. I had to put this addiction in check, but loving the Big Mac was wrong, and I wanted to be right. And after months of near starvation and extensive workouts, I got it right. But of course, that was back in the day. Now, some years later, it's all about making better choices. Therefore, I now choose the Whopper because it takes two hands to handle a Whopper. And besides, I can have the Whopper my way. Moving a little bit closer to a most recent time, some things you learn as you live and you pass it on. Well, just a few months ago, the season is changing. It's still a little crisp like it is now. I had a mind blowing experience. It happened late one evening after I'd gotten off from work. And I decided to drive down out the structure. And instead of turning right, I put my blinker on to turn left to go further into the downtown Detroit area. I was headed towards where my husband's work area was at. And minutes before I reached my destination, I spotted what appeared to be a man lying down on a curb on top of a manhole. He was embracing the fiercely blowing steam. Oh my. Charles? Charles. Charles was a former patient of mine, and from what I could remember, he lived in a group home. Charlie Brown, he's a clown. Charlie Brown, he's a clown. He would just light up whenever I greeted him that way. But since I was still in motion driving in the far left lane down a one-way street, I had to keep going. So I made a mental note to go back by that way on the way home. Now, within 3 to 5 minutes, I was down to my husband's job, and I still had this mysterious man on my mind. So I briefly shared some of my events of the day, yada, 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 blah, 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 yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Look, listen, I asked him for a dollar. A dollar? What do you need a dollar for? If I told you, you wouldn't give it to me. So, reluctantly, Mr. Tight gave it to me. We kissed, embraced. I drove back around the corner wondering, could this be Charles? Well, the John Doe was still lying supine on the concrete, wearing about 5 to 6 layers of clothes, and his fingertips were hanging out of his glove. His head was slightly up, but he was greasing on a chicken bone. That's right, he was eating chicken bone. So the closer I got to him, thank God it was not Charles, but yet a homeless man, and for some, due to a lack of a better word, a bum. Now, I'm thinking homeless is homeless, whether you know the person or not. So I pulled over to the far right by the curb, proceeded to lower the passenger window down, and proceeded to call, excuse me, sir, 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 here's a dollar, sir, sir. I held the dollar between my index and middle finger, and while stretching my arm outward to extend that dollar out of the window of the passenger side, I noticed 1 second went by, a few more seconds went by, and yet another, and finally he mumbled, "Just ball it up and throw it at me." Huh? Huh? Just ball it up and throw it at me. Huh? I instantly felt a stinging sensation come over me as if his words had smacked me on my face. I had never thrown money to anyone before, and I was not about to start now. I politely rolled up my windows, put my blinker on to get back into the traffic, and I drove away. I tried to justify in my mind as I was driving, why didn't he just reach up to grab the money? Maybe he was handicapped. Well, no, maybe I disturbed his dinner. After all, he was eating. Well, then I thought maybe that dollar could have gone towards his breakfast. Well, maybe $5 would have motivated him. Maybe the dollar just wasn't worth that buck of that reach, huh? Well, after all, I did ask him to do a song and dance for it. Well, no, I just asked him to, reach up forward to take the money out of my hand. Now, I continually shake my head the whole time on the way home. And in all my years, I had never, ever experienced that. But I did learn at that moment the true meaning of you lazy bum. And you better believe this is an experience that I will always remember and pass on. So, last but not least, I want to wish a Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. Back to you, Madam Host.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful, wonderful. And all of us have had experiences with homeless people, and we all look at them differently. I think that in my own experience, I give with unconditionally. So thank you for that, for sharing your insight. We appreciate that. And now I think that Tone is going to introduce me, and I should be telling my story.
Okay, that kind of caught me off guard there. Dr. Maxine Kane, she is a longtime storyteller. She's been a doctor and a teacher and all that kind of thing. So she has a presentation tonight, which is in the theme because tomorrow starts our Kwanzaa week, and she is bringing a presentation to you about Kwanzaa. Please give your full attention and give her a hand, Dr. Maxine Kane, alias Max.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And to all of our DABS members and all of our friends who have joined us, Dr. Melanie Morrison and April and others, all DAB members, thank you so much for joining us. My story is about Kwanzaa at the Kane's. Kwanzaa at the Kane's house. Every year when the boys were young, they assembled here at our home. The Chenaults, the Lanes, the Morrisons came to our home with their children, and they brought the desserts and the soups and the salads, and we potluck. But the theme always focused on Kwanzaa. And that was such a memorable time in our lives. So here is how it looked at that time, the Kwanzaa table. But it just isn't the Kwanzaa table. There's meaning to all of these things on the table. For example, we always started out by pouring libation with what's called the Unity Cup. And at that time, we would remember our ancestors, those on whose shoulders we stand. Harriet Tubman, Fannie Lou Hamer, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, John Lewis, Jimmy Lee Jackson, and all those people on whose shoulders we stand. And we would pour libation, watering that plant in memory of them. And we always chose the young people to pour libation, and they still remember that. We talked about the symbols of Kwanzaa, the mat, usually a homemade mat, which stood for the foundation. If we build a strong foundation, then that which is built upon it will last forever. The mat. And then the kanara here that holds the candle. The kanara represented the roots. If you have strong, deep roots, we told the children, then your fruits, the leaves will grow. The fruit will be strong and sweet and nutritious if the roots are there. The crops, the table always had the crops. The crops represented the harvest. It represented people working together during the year, planting and digging and helping each other and supporting each other to produce things like yams and squash, apples, oranges, plantain, nuts and seeds, melons and pineapple. That's another symbol of Kwanzaa. And then you had the muhindi, the corn, which represented the children. If the family had 3 children, you would place 3 ears of corn on the table. Usually those families were very large because people needed help to till the soil. And they had lots and lots of children. The corn, the mazoa, the nuts, the seeds, the fruits and vegetables. And then you had the candles, the green, the black, the red candles, mainly because we had Marcus Garvey, and you might see that flag back there, who introduced us to the colors. I forgot to say that Kwanzaa was started in 1966 by a professor at California State University. And his name was Dr. Malana Karenga. And he started Kwanzaa after the riot, the Watts riot began in 1965. He wanted to give people something to cling to, some hope, and some things, some traditions that would help them go through life in a more positive, meaningful, purposeful way. So he introduced us to Kwanzaa. And during Kwanzaa, what we do is we light the candles. And I want to light the candles, and these candles represent the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday. Kwanzaa is a cultural experience created to help people of all races, but in particular, the Black race. The first day of Kwanzaa begins on December the 26th and ends on January the 1st. I'm going to quickly light these candles, but I only have 12 minutes. The first candle I'm going to light is Umoja, standing for unity. We know that if we work together in a meaningful way, that more things will be done. Umoja. The second candle, Kuji Chakulia. Kuji Chakulia. Can you say that? It stands for self-determination. Self-determination. Determined, focused on doing some things that will help you, your family, your community, and the nation. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Collective work and responsibility. Working together as a people, as a family, knowing again that we're stronger when we work together as opposed to trying to do things on our own. Ujama, collective work and responsibility. collective work, UJAMA, cooperative economics. And my little things are UJAMA, cooperative economics. And that is, if we support our neighborhood businesses, those Black businesses, they're more apt to thrive. Nia, purpose. What is your purpose in life? Why are you here? Answer that question now. Why are you here? What are you doing in your homes, in your community to make this a better place in which to live? A better place in which to live. Kuumba, my favorite one. Kuumba, creativity. All the stories you heard today were because somebody was creative in their thinking, doing something that was different but meaningful. And the last one is Amani, which means faith. Faith in God, faith in yourself, faith in your community. And last but not least, we have this, which is called a zawadi. A zawadi is usually a homemade gift. And I have one here. It's a stone, and on it, it says, send forth your light and your truth. Send forth your light and your truth. Psalms 43:3, a gift to others. The main thing is, Kwanzaa is not just a 7-day experience. It doesn't begin on the 26th of December and end on the 1st of January. Kwanzaa is supposed to be practiced and used every day of the year. So DABS invites all of you to read up on Kwanzaa, understand its true meaning, and use those principles to make your life a better one and those around you. So that ends my little story. It really isn't a story, it's what I experienced with my boys for a long time. And they still remember those days at the King's house. I want to end my part of the presentation by reading something that I hope is meaningful to you. So please listen. DABS says this to you. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me and you. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, brothers and sisters, all are we. Let me walk with my brother and let me walk with my sister in perfect harmony. Let this be the moment now with every step I take. Let this be my solemn vow to take each moment, to live each moment in peace, eternally. Let there be peace on this earth while we are here. And let it begin with me and with you. So I end my part as the host this evening, and we hope you have learned more about DABS. We hope that you will consider joining DABS, the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers. It's a fantastic organization. Remember Kwanzaa, remember Kwanzaa and all of its principles. It has been my honor to serve as your hostess today. Now back to Tony.
Thank you, Max. I appreciate your hosting tonight. What an excellent job to all the storytellers. For everybody else, thank you for attending this tonight's program, Detroit Association of Black Storytellers 4th Friday Story Hour, Christmas edition, Fireside Stories. Please stay tuned following this broadcast for our DABS Afterglow and Mix and Mingle, which will follow after we hear a brief song at the end. If you missed any of tonight's performance, you can tune into DABS podcast or replay of this broadcast through your podcast provider, or go to DetroitStorytellers.com. All rights of the DABS 4th Friday Story Hour is the copyright of the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers. It cannot be rebroadcast or recorded without the permission and written consent of the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers Incorporated. If you live in the Detroit area and have an interest in becoming a storyteller, please contact DABS at dabsstorytelling@gmail.com or call us at 313-442-3227. If you happen to live outside of the Detroit area and interested in becoming a storyteller out of your city, please contact the National Association of Black Storytellers on their website or call them at 410-947-1117 or email them at questions@nabsinc.org. NABS will connect you with the Storytelling Association in a city near you. Please join us next month for DABS 4th Friday Story Hour, Friday, January 22nd at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:55 p.m. Our storytellers are Barbara Clark, Leah Rich, Michelle McKinney, and Ethel Revels. Please join us there. You will love this. A new year, a new resolution, and a new season of DABS 4th Friday Story Hour. On behalf of on behalf of our storytellers tonight, Nikita McKenzie, Mildred Madlock, Pamela Williams, with our host Maxine King, aka Max, with a special guest we're going to hear in just a few minutes, Noah Wade. He is a senior from the DeSoto High School in DeSoto, Texas. He is under the direction of the choir director of Pamela Dawson. You're going to enjoy this. He has a song that is absolutely amazing. This was all choreographed by him, written by him, basically, and video part by him. Our music director tonight, giving our theme music, our brand new theme music, is Michelle McKinney. Do thank her for that. Along with our new tech director, Jasmine Ross, who did a fantastic job bailing us out tonight. She did an excellent, excellent job. Along with the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers, we thank you for attending the DABS 4th Friday Story Hour. See everyone Friday, January 22nd at 7 p.m. Please be safe. By all means, wear a mask. Peace and blessings to you all. Until next time. After this quick break and this quick music, please stay tuned for the DABS Afterglow. The green bar is not up. Why?
Thank you, Maxine.
Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas.